Hello fellow creatives, Katie here. This is a video I recorded a while ago, back in probably September, I think. And I just found it and I figured I'll go ahead and throw it together. And originally I was trying to figure out what style I wanted to do for the Inktober challenge. If anyone is familiar with that, it's drawing an inked image every day during the month of October. So what I did was I was experimenting here with style a little bit, and I ordered the Fude brush pen by Pentel and the ZIG. It's just a double-ended ZIG brush pen that has like a gray tip on one side and a black tip on the other. And I also ordered some regular well ink because I didn't know, I haven't worked with ink before this, oddly enough. So I am a little more familiar with it now, but when I first grabbed these supplies, I was not familiar. All new supplies for me, and pretty much I was just trying to figure out how to use them. So I knew I wanted to do some sort of connecting theme, and I had a ton of watercolor paper. And I still do. I have like 3 huge blocks of it. So I decided, well, I've always wanted to do coffee stain papers, and we'll just do some of that. So I coffee stained some papers, and there is a tutorial on how I did that I'll link at the end of this. And before, jumping into the large pieces, because this is about half the size of the actual Inktober's that I did. So I wanted to get a feel for it and kind of figure out the style I wanted to do for the Inktober pieces and just figure out how to use the brush pens. So cut out a little small piece, and I'm just looking at a reference of a fox. So that's why you don't see a lot of baselines laid out or anything here. Using, let's see, I believe it's just a Prismacolor graphite pencil. It's a 2H. So 2H is just the hardness of the pencil. And I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the video, I started drawing something. I knew I was going to draw a fox, and it didn't start with a reference. So I started drawing a fox, and then I was like, I really don't like this. I don't like where it's going at all. And I erased it. And I kept that to show you that not everything starts out perfectly great. In these videos, I do make mistakes, and I do change my mind. So after the first failed attempt at sketching a fox, I went online. I found something to look at because I wanted to play with the ink. I didn't want to figure out, the actual image itself. I just wanted to learn how to use the ink pen. So that's what we did. After sketching out the fox in pencil, just very lightly, I grabbed the black barrel pen, which is the Fude pen by Pentel. And I will note here, I had a lot of trouble getting this pen started. It had a red ring, and everything was in a different language. So I was stumbling through it, but there's a red ring on it. And as it turns out, you have to unscrew the barrel. The barrel comes off, like the ink's not gonna like gush out, but hold it upright. You unscrew it and you remove the red ring, and then you screw it back on there, and then the ink will come out of the barrel. So if you have trouble, that's probably why. So a few squeezes of the barrel, and I just kind of start going at it. I didn't know how messy I wanted to be. I'm really bad at doing very loose work, and although I love the texture, I wanted to keep it, but it's totally not the direction I went for the actual Inktober challenge. But I mean, this piece on its own turned out really neat, and it was fun to play with it. I did find out though that the watercolor paper I'm using, paired with the way that I stained it with the coffee grounds, made it extra textured, and unfortunately what I was finding was that small details were really difficult with this pen. On a smooth paper, I can imagine it'd be a lot easier to control. But in the end, I generally ended up using this pen more for very, very fine details and cleanup work. rather than the main part of the illustrations that I ended up doing. It is really fun to use though. If you just like ink, and I can imagine this would be great for travel because the ink is in there and ink can get messy. So if you travel a lot, I can imagine this would be a really awesome tool to have in your bag if you have just like a little small sketchbook and you want to do some life sketches or something like that while you're on the go. That'd be good. So at a certain point, I pull out the ZIG Brushables pen, and I think I'm using the gray side, and I figured, well, I can maybe use the gray side to add the shadows because then they won't be as dark as the black ink, but they were really dark. It didn't have the same effect, or like, you know, it didn't have the effect that I was going for. Still a neat effect, just something different. And then I tried smudging around the ink, which kind of worked for a little bit, but my hand was covered in ink by the end of this. Once I had most of the lines laid down, I looked at it. It was great, but I couldn't help myself and I pulled out my white Prismacolor pencil, because if you saw any of my Smogus drawings, or if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, you know that I like adding a lot of highlights to everything, so the fox gets a highlight treatment. And I will say the white pencil worked really nicely on this paper. And it's just a Prismacolor white pencil. Look how short that is. And if you are interested, this little guy is for sale. You can contact me on my website at comicrew.com, and I'll have the link at the end, or you can just message me here or anywhere. But he is for sale, so let me know if you'd like to grab him for yourself. So all of the materials and everything I used in this video, I will link you down below so you can see exactly what I used. Go ahead and try it out. It was really fun. Alright, thank you for joining me, everyone, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!